Mayor Johnson, under Chicago law, would you turn this criminal over to ICE on a detainer?
Our local law enforcement works hard every day to get criminals off the streets of Chicago.
Would you turn that criminal over to ICE? That's the problem. That's one of the topics of this conversation. That's one of the problems we've heard from Tom Hammond and from the Homeland Security, is that in your cities, when someone's apprehended for a crime, and ICE is now, with this new federal policy, wanting to come in and deport the criminal alien, that you will not cooperate with ICE. Will you turn that criminal over to ICE?
And we do not harbor criminals. Our local police department works hard every single day to ensure that the city of Chicago is
yes
safe.
Or no? Will you turn the criminal over to ICE?
With a criminal warrant from the federal government, our local law enforcement
Yes! Why won't you just say yes?
Because he won't do it. Because they won't do it. They won't do it.
Wow. Wow. These people people are so anti-American. So folks, for you who don't know, this was the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform today. And they were putting an investigation into the policies of sanctuary jurisdictions and their impact on public safety. They were getting to the bottom of this stuff, folks. So as President Trump honored the parents, the mothers that lost their daughters to these evil illegals that did these, horrific things, these mayors are harboring these people. Nicole, what did you think of this?
I thought it was really interesting that, one, he looked incredibly nervous, right? And two, he doesn't quite understand how to work talking points. The goal is not to say it over and over again, but to use it, if you get jammed up, but kind of like a pivot point. But when they ask you a direct question, you should give a direct answer, whether or not you agree or disagree. Stand on principle, whole mayor of whatever town. You are the leader of that town. And if your town voted you in knowing doggone well that you supported criminals over law-abiding citizens, then stand up and say that. And you know why he couldn't? Because they didn't. That is exactly why they did not elect him. They're tired of crime. When you go to Chicago, let me tell you, that whole flip Chicago red, that's a situation. People are fed up. Those town halls are spicy. They are spicy. It's about time that someone called him in, and they shouldn't have let him off the hook. They should not have squeeze him until his head pops off and he says something true, because he was sitting there lying, trying to stick to that talking point. It was horrible for him. Horrible.
Yeah. Shelley, these mayors are violating federal law, and they're putting the lives of citizens, residents of their cities, in danger. What? He just won't even answer the question.
Yeah. I'm going to do my alliteration. Progressive policies pulverize the people they purport to protect. Every time, I'll say 99.9% of the time, okay? But every time, wherever you look, this is what we get. Number one. Number two, back to what we talked about earlier, they don't give a damn about the USA or the Constitution. Chicago and Illinois Constitution. They don't give a damn about it. What they care about is the ideology, and part of that ideology that keeps them in power, milking the taxpayer, the American taxpayer, getting their millions or thousands of dollars, high six-figure salaries, perks, all kinds of benefits. That's what they want and care about. It does not matter the human cost, the human toll. It doesn't matter to the
Wait a minute, Shelley. That can't be right, because many of these areas are predominantly Black, and we are told, and they are led by Black mayors. Baltimore here is a sanctuary city. Chicago, Philadelphia. I'm not sure about DC. But again, so these people are supposed to love Black people, correct?
Nope, they supposed to. Only it depends on the hierarchy again. Remember, you can have the same color skin, but if you are trying to go above the ideology in the party, then that hierarchy, you down lower. race or skin color becomes second or tertiary, if you will. That doesn't matter. The skin color, the racial aspect is a close second, if you will. I don't know what level, but it's not really the most important. That's the facade. That's the perception that the skin color is the most important. But if your skin color is going to trump their power, then damn your skin color. You can be any color in the rainbow, in the crayon box. That's not keeping the power and keeping me, and if you will, or whomever in the place where we can have our power, have our prestige, have our perks, have our position. That's what matters. That is what matters.
The money. Have control of the money, because that's what it all comes down to. You know, Democrats were a little salty with Trump, just a smidge, but when he started coming after USAID, that's when their heads started popping. I mean, they were going ballistic. They were rolling out all kind of old Negro spirituals and union songs and singing and carrying on. The truth of the matter is they have been grifting the American people for a very long time, for a very, very long time. So when you see these videos of them being so angry and so incensed on behalf of their constituency, they mean the constituency of the dollars that they didn't put in their bank on our dime, right? This has always been about money, power, and money. And when I think about it, you know, I think we do a really good job on our show covering it, but I can't wait to hear just the guys talk about it. I really can't wait to hear the guys who are on that show, the men who are on that show, talk about this very topic, because I know they're going to be tearing people a new one. Saturday is going to be lit.
Yeah, folks, this is Metro Conservative Media's network here. We are on the Metro Conservative Media Network, and we have other shows that we have on this network. So it's us here, Poppin' Politics. What's today? Thank you. We also have my show, Christian Conservative, on Thursday night. So tomorrow night, you guys got to subscribe. It's Christian KJCJ Christian Conservative. Then Saturday we have Just the Guys podcast. So they'll be here. You got to subscribe to their YouTube. It's at Just the Guys podcast. We also have the All-American Talk Show. They're also on YouTube on Tuesdays. So that's at All-American Talk. So again, it's Tuesday at All-American Talk. Wednesday, us here, Poppin' Politics. Thursday at KJCJ Christian Conservative. And Saturday at Just the Guys podcast. You can get all of your conservative-minded shows from different perspectives right here on the Metro Conservative Media Network. And we will link all of those YouTube channels in the chat for you guys to check out and subscribe. That's right. All right.
Wait a minute, KJ, I want to say one thing. I'm sorry. Okay. We've talking about examples all week. I mean, all day, all night for the show. And like I said, the Democratic Party, particularly last night, is the example of groupthink. Well, just now on this topic, with this hierarchy, we talked about it before on here. There's a book, Maynard Johnson, I think it is, Color, Communism and Common Sense. Talks about classic. This is nothing new. This is nothing new. People think it's new, but this has been going on for decades at least. The Democratic Party in particular, this is the face of this color communism, and I'm going to say not common sense, but it's common sense in the sense of the political facade that it portrays. Get that book. It's a very small book, easy read, Color, Communism, and Common Sense.
Absolutely. HTW with the $5 super chat says, I just stumbled here. Very refreshing to see. Nicely done, ladies. Thank you. Make sure you subscribe. Yes. And hit that like button, please. That helps to amplify our voice here on YouTube. So, folks, we got to take a look at this clip. Our boy, Byron Donalds, destroyed these mayors at this committee hearing. Take a look at this. This is clip 8.
It was so good. It was so good.
What did your city spend on illegal immigration? Do you have a round number?
Over the last couple of years on all newcomers, whatever their status was, it's around 79 million since 2022.
79 million. Mayor Johnson, Chicago. How much has the city of Chicago spent on illegal immigration?
If you're referring to the 2022 up to 2024 of the buses coming from Texas, roughly the same percentage of the state of Texas, about 1% of our overall budget.
What is that? Because I don't have the city's budget in front of me. Numbers.
It's 1%, and if you want the actual calculation, we can make sure someone.
You're the mayor. You don't have the math in front of you.
It's 1% of the overall budget over the last 4 years.
That's why you're a failing
which
mayor.
is the
Mayor
same
Adams,
number that
how
was
much did the
sent
city
from
of
us
New
from
York
the
actually
state
spend
of
on
Texas.
illegal immigration? Mayor Johnson, I already asked you. You don't have a hard number, and if you don't have a hard number, you're not running your city well. Mayor Adams, how much did the city of New York actually spend on illegal immigration?
$6.9 billion of taxpayers.
$6.9 billion of taxpayer money on a problem that was fostered on the American people. Mayor Wu, in the city of Boston, how much did you spend?
We don't ask about immigration status and delivering city
You don't
services,
ask
so
about
we
how
don't
much
have
money
that
the
number.
city of Boston has spent on illegal immigration.
We
Are
don't
you out of your
distinguish
mind?
between immigration status.
Do you
as
manage
part
your
of our
budget
city
or not,
policies.
Mayor Wu?
That is how we keep
Mayor
our city
Wu,
safe.
do you manage
we
your
have
budget or
the
not?
numbers to prove it. I manage my budget. I have a AAA bond rating dating back 10 years.
So to the city of Boston,
budget.
just understand that your mayor does not care how much of your resources she has spent on people who are not citizens
The city
of
of Boston
the city of
is
Boston.
sick of having
I'm
people
reclaiming my
outside
time.
Boston
Mr.
telling
Bear,
us what
Mr.
we
Bear, I
do.
have a question for you because I understand Cato's perspective when it comes to illegal immigration. I understand that the Cato Institute for a long time has had a standard of actually having open immigration into the United States. Generally speaking, I don't want to get into specific.
We support legal immigration. We want immigration to be legal.
Let me ask you this question, because one of the great libertarians of the modern era, Milton Friedman, famously said, you can either have open borders or a welfare state, but you have to choose. Mr. Beer, what do you choose?
Milton Friedman said he wanted to allow illegal immigration to continue. I disagree with Milton Friedman's position on that. We should have legal immigration and build a wall around the welfare state, not around the country. That's in the best interest of taxpayers.
And I would argue that under the current system where you have sanctuary cities popping up, it is not possible to build that wall. So America has to choose. Mr. Beer, you're done. America has to choose between securing our nation or protecting the taxpayer. I choose secure the nation. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair recognizes Mr. Bell.
Let's go, Byron. Let's go.
Let's go.
Oh my God.
Let's go. The next, hopefully, prayerfully, governor of Florida, he lit them up. Did he not, Nicole?
Oh my gosh. First of all, you know, Byron is just crazy. I mean, like he's crazy smart, but he's a regular person. So he doesn't see sometimes putting a political face on things. This was Byron being Byron. You know, I'm fortunate enough to sit on a board of directors with him, and this is how he runs meetings. He's on that. He's like, and you did what? And this is how he acts, asking them point blank questions and not letting them wiggle out of it. Mm-hmm. When you have Mr. Beer from the Cato Institute having to defend this open immigration idea that they've had for decades, that's not new. That's not new. For decades. And he's like, you know, trying to talk his gibberish. He's like, you're done, Mr. Beer. Snatching wigs. Love every minute of it. Let's go, Byron. Let's go.
Yeah. Shelley, that was amazing.
Yeah. Let me tell you the part I loved. When he asked Mayor Adams, Adams was like, oh, I got that right here. He couldn't read it fast enough. He's like, oh, I'm right here. I'm okay. I know
had
my
his finger on it.
Yeah, he's like, I know my numbers. But again, these people, and then the Boston mayor, Wu, I think her name is Wu.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The arrogance, the smugness. But let me help you all out, at least a little bit, Mayor Johnson. This is according to Fox 32 Chicago. As of March the 3rd, their report was that Chicago has spent, as of since August 2022, Chicago has spent, just the city of Chicago, almost $640 million, and it's probably more than that, on illegal immigrants, illegal aliens. So I don't know why these numbers were not so readily available to Mayor Johnson, probably because he didn't want to say it on public TV, because when he goes back home to those people who have been on his ass, those Chicago citizens who have been meeting him almost at every meeting or board meeting that there is, he doesn't want to have to face them. I think Mayor Johnson is on his way out. If Mayor Johnson is not or is reelected, something's wrong with Chicagoans. So,
Yeah.
I mean, really, I mean, these people are incorrigible. Wu, Johnson, even our own Brandon Scott, another Brandon, who are hell-bent on protecting illegals and any other kind of illegal activity for the most part. They don't need to be here. Our cities are in ruin, and most of them are by Black people that look like us, like you said, AJ. But it's not the race or the skin color that matters; it's the hierarchy. And I want to put one more book on our audience's lap. Jason Riley wrote a book, and it's been maybe about 5 years or more, called False Black Power, that speaks to this idea of Black people in political power. It has not paid off for most Black people. It's only paid off for those in powerful positions in political office, because by and large, they are getting money, grifting, whatever we call it, and it's not benefiting the people that they claim that they're in office to help.
Absolutely. I folks, the part that really had me going was this Mayor Wu. They're telling us, she literally said they don't distinguish between illegals and residents, legal citizens. So what does that tell you? That tells you that they don't want they don't want any distinguishing factors. They want everybody to blend together. They want to use all the social services going for illegals. They want them filling the seats in these cities and schools. We here are uncovered right here in Baltimore City that many of these schools are getting federal funding because a lot of the cities have population decreasing. People are fleeing them. So they want to fill these seats in schools and things like that with illegals. So then they can continue getting those federal dollars. And as they get these federal dollars that are supposed to be allocated towards certain issues and programs, they're skimming. They're skimming from it to line their pockets. And as you mentioned, Nicole, this is why they're so upset that President Trump and Elon Musk are exposing these grifts, because they're skimming money off the back end. And this is why they want illegals.
Exactly.
You're 100% right. One of the things also, KJ, not only skimming off the back end, they're preloading the front. Right. So when they're doing their census numbers, it's like, okay, it doesn't ask you how many United States citizens, how many Americans. They say how many people. How many people live in that neighborhood? How many times have we heard the commercial when they were doing the census? Don't be afraid of the census worker. Open the door. They're not going to ask you about your immigration status. So if Boston fills up, to the teeth, fills all the way up with illegal people, it makes no difference when it comes to census dollars for schools, hospital, roads, all of that. They're taking money from states that have not have illegal immigrants in their state. They're getting too big of a piece of a pie for people who don't deserve any pie at all.
Exactly.
They have to do something different, but Boston is in for the win. They're taking off the back and the front.
Yeah, and then
they have the supply. Yeah,
right.
Go ahead.
We suffer. Yeah. So we were talking about this last night, Nicole. If you could kind of explain this again. So you have these illegals come in and the children go to the schools. Some of them are even not even underage. You got these kids that are saying they're 18 and under 16 and they're 21, 22 old. And we actually had cases like this in Maryland, in Baltimore. So you have that. Then you have the schools are becoming burdened down because you have to deal with the different languages and stuff. They're flooding our social services and things like that. So they're creating more problems in these cities, and the mayors here are taking up for them. And one of the problems that they tried to blame on President Trump was the measles outbreak. Nicole, can you go into what you were saying about that measles outbreak, how it could be linked to illegals?
Well, it could be linked to people who are just not vaccinated. So when you think of unvaccinated larger populations, you think Amish, Mennonite, you do have some parents who don't believe in vaccine, but it's a small minority group that generally homeschools their kids, or their kids are in a co-op, right? That they play with other unvaccinated children. But when we bring children from other nations here, and we don't know anything about them because they didn't come with any adults. They're too young to know their medical history or even their familial history. They come with a number written on their arm, a telephone number, so they could call somebody to come pick this kid up, right? We don't know if they've had any childhood vaccinations. We don't know what their health status is. You ask a 7-year-old, have you ever had a shot? Maybe, sure. Yeah. What was it? I don't know. Head and shoulders. So we run a titer, but sometimes before the titer comes back, the child has been picked up. And this is how disease migrates. We've had polio, we're doing polio shots now for immigration physicals, something that we've never had to do prior to this, except for very small children. Syphilis, gonorrhea. We've had all of these outbreaks across the country. They're trying to pin this on President Trump and anti-vaxxers and RFKJ, and nothing could be further from the truth. We've already had other measles outbreaks. This is not news, folks. It is not news. As long as we continue to let people into our nation and we do not know who they are, we have not vetted them at all, we can expect more of the same. We can expect more of the same.
Exactly.
Yeah. Shelley, you had something there?
Yeah, I did. Nicole, you were saying that it was the back end and the front end. Basically, these people, these politicians are creating the demand, and then they also want to funnel and direct the supply. They're doing it on both. It's economics, and it is about economics because they siphon off of the money to keep themselves in power. It's as simple as that. Classic. If the American people, again, I believe that they are waking up from what I'm seeing across social media. If social media is any indicator of what's really happening with real people and real people's lives, then this is going to be a huge shift coming in 2026 and further beyond. The Democratic Party may never be in charge again. I mean, I'm praying that they don't. I'm praying that they don't. I'm praying that more people wake up. But this is classic grift, if you will, classic theft of the largesse of the American people.
Yeah.
And aren't you glad that English is the official language of the United States now?
Yes, indeed.
Oh my gosh, it's such a good thing. We're moving in the right direction at such a rapid rate. Our culture is changing so quickly. And I know for some people, that rapid change may be a little disconcerting, but I'll say it again. I said it last night. These are Band-Aid moments, right? You put the Band-Aid on, you heal a little bit, and eventually you got to rip that Band-Aid off and you're a little uncomfortable, but overall the healing is worth it. This is where we are, America. We got to keep our foot on the gas because Trump's only got 4 years, and prayerfully we got 8 years of JD and maybe 8 years of Wes Hunt. I could line them up. I could line them up down the street. If we can get enough of the culture understanding that this is not necessarily a partisan thing, but about rebuilding American culture so that we can all enjoy the bounty of our nation.